We're Group 5. We're going to talk about the Jeep strategic analysis. Jeep was founded in 1941. It is one of the oldest and well-established automobile brands. Jeep started its journey at the time of the World War II by providing robust models for military purpose. This was the time when Jeep gained its recognition. The brand was acquired by Fiat Chrysler Automobiles in 1987. Jeep is now one of the most profitable and valuable brands for Fiat. Jeep is known all over the world for its robust and adventurous SUVs. Fiat positioned its brand strong vehicle with go anywhere capabilities.
The external analysis of Jeep shows the following. In the political realm, they're facing strict fines for fuel economy in Europe. Whereas on the economic side, they're having a 35% sales drop in China due to fuel economy, which has led to a 16% drop in the Fiat stock price. Social cultural, US has a desire for SUVs, which is helping the sales. But the world desire for fuel economy is having Jeep run into issues in Europe and China as they try to expand. Technologically, they're moving towards having electric vehicles, and they're finally bringing a new vehicle into the pickup segment. Ecological, they have very poor fuel economy. They are currently the worst in Europe and are using Tesla to get past any of the fuel issues. Legal, again, they're having emission issues with the Cherokee having been recalled recently due to having less mileage per gallon than what was advertised.
An analysis of FCA's 20F reveals that the gross margin exceeds the industry averages. FCA's operating expenses as a percent of revenue have remained relatively stable since 2016. The gross margin exceeds the industry average by 1.3%. Their operating margin exceeds the industry by 1.2%. This suggests that the perceived value of their product exceeds industry averages. These margins feed down to their trailing 12 net margin, providing a strategic advantage in the industry. FCA has recognized Jeep as a niche product for off-road centric buyers. They've realized gains in total units sold year over year since 2010, with the exception of 2017, when the new model of Wrangler, the JL, was announced to be released in 2018. The Jeep lineup represents about 20% of FCA's total units sold globally, represents a large portion of their business.
Has continued to pursue a differentiation strategy globally and domestically in the US, particularly through their Wrangler SUV and their upcoming Gladiator pickup truck. This strategy has worked very well for their consumers. The Gladiator pickup sold out within the first 24 hours, despite its $60,000 price tag. And this has really resulted in a cult following for Jeep, particularly with the off-road segment of consumers and living the Jeep culture that owning a Jeep cultivates. She is further evidenced through a comparison with the Jeep Gladiator's competitors within the industry. As you can see from the slide, the low-end base model for the Gladiator is 20% higher than its competitors, and on the high end, it is 4.3%, resulting in a median range of 11.2% above their competitors, which shows that their strategy has enabled them to provide a value to consumers and allow them to charge more than their competitors are within the industry. An example of Jeep's differentiation strategy is evident within their Gladiator pickup line. It has a variety of components to it that make it different than its competitors, including larger tires, clearance height for off-roading, and due to this, it will sell at a premium compared to their competitors. This wide range of offerings that Jeep is now enabled to do through this pickup line will only result in increased profits and sales for the consumer niche that they have created for themselves.
From all the previous information, we now can put together some of the competencies that FCA has that allows them to pursue this differentiation strategy. One of them is the superior marketing skills. They have been able to actually keep the Jeep brand to several decades as one of the main brands that people in the United States really enjoy. The main key asset is this public perception that the vehicles are simple, uncluttered, and dependable, and they are made in America. Also, there is this tendency now that people like to go to do outdoor activities. And from statistics, we know that about half of the population of the United States have tried outdoor activities. So that's one of the reasons why the Jeep sales keeps increasing. Another important competency is their design and manufacturing know-how. Using this design knowledge, they have been able to create this coolness factor that now is allowing Jeep to go into the high end of the market. And also because these machines are simple, this allows to keep the cost contained in manufacturing. And finally, of course, we know that Jeep had this network of dealers throughout the United States. So that's another core competency. So, and about the corporate strategy, we know that they are pursuing a target market diversification. Basically, Jeep has always been a vehicle for the masses, and now they are pursuing the higher end of the market, like we mentioned, with more expensive vehicles that sell very well. And the other part of the corporate strategy is geographic diversification. They are going to markets in Australia, China, and Europe. We know from forecasts that the Chinese market is projected to be about 40% of crossover vehicles by 2021, and the European market is about 35% of crossover vehicles by 2021. So that means that this segment is going to keep growing, and that's going to help Jeep sales. Now, one important point is that definitely FCA and the Jeep brand need to adapt better to China and Europe, because they try already some strategy, for example, in China, and they had trouble, their sales failed. So they need to figure better how to reach their customers, and of course, as we mentioned, the electrical vehicles.
Lastly, on our analysis of Jeep, we move on to their challenges and opportunities. To start, they recently had a CEO transition. Their prior CEO had stepped down due to health reasons. This obviously is a pretty big shift in any company and will bring some challenges as the new CEO brings forth his methods and strategies. They are trying to penetrate the market in China. However, their rather inefficient off-road vehicles are not as popular over there as they are in the States. And Europe has a little stricter emission laws than we do in the States. So that's another thing that Jeep will have to accompany in order to be successful in international markets. So moving on to opportunities, Jeep has realized these challenges and they are developing a BEV, or battery electric vehicle. It's pretty much just an electric version of all their vehicles. They have a partnership with a PSA group, and this will help with their investments into the electric automobile industry. And then finally, they will expand their model portfolio. So they're realizing their strengths and weaknesses and their sort of niche that they found over here in the States, and they're trying to find that same niche overseas. There's a want for these Jeeps. However, they need to be in compliance with both the state and federal laws, and also the different kind of cultural differences. So that about wraps up our presentation, and if you have any questions about it, feel free to send any of us an email and we'd be glad to elaborate. Thank you.